I'm 27 years old, and I just watched my girlfriend of 2 years take a hammer to my custom gaming PC that I spent 18 months building and $18,000 purchasing because I forgot her birthday was yesterday. Now she's demanding I buy her a $35,000 car as an apology, or she's leaving me. Before we start, tell me where you're watching from and what time it is there. And if you're new, make sure to like and subscribe to become part of the Tales Teller family. Your support keeps these amazing stories coming. Let me back up and explain how we got here because this situation is absolutely insane, and I'm still processing what happened. My girlfriend Jessica is 25 and works as a social media manager for a small marketing company. I'm a software engineer working remotely for a tech startup. We met on a dating app 2 years ago and moved in together about 8 months ago when her lease ended. Things were mostly fine until recently when she started getting really demanding about gifts and attention and validation. Her birthday was yesterday, March 15th. I completely forgot. Not on purpose, just genuinely forgot. Work has been brutal lately with a major product launch coming up, and I've been putting in 70-hour weeks for the past month. Days blur together when you're coding until 2 a.m. every night. I woke up yesterday, worked all day, ordered dinner, kept working. Never once remembered it was her birthday. She didn't say anything all day. Not one word. Didn't mention it was her birthday, didn't drop hints, nothing. Just acted normal. I realized my mistake this morning when I woke up to 47 text messages from her friends and her sister calling me every name in the book. Worst boyfriend ever. Selfish prick. How could you forget? She deserves better. I immediately felt terrible. Went to the living room where Jessica was sitting on the couch looking at her phone. I apologized immediately. Said I was so sorry, work had been crazy, I'd make it up to her. We could do whatever she wanted this weekend. She just stared at me with this cold expression and said it's too late for sorry. I asked what I could do to make it right. She said nothing could make it right, but if I really wanted to try, I could buy her the car she'd been looking at. A BMW X3. Fully loaded. $35,000 minimum. I thought she was joking at first. Laughed nervously and said that's a pretty expensive birthday gift. She said I'd humiliated her in front of all her friends by forgetting her birthday, so the least I could do was buy her something significant to show I actually cared. I told her that was completely unreasonable. I'd forgotten her birthday, which was wrong, and I was genuinely sorry, but buying a $35,000 car wasn't happening. We could go to a nice dinner. I'd get her a thoughtful gift. We'd celebrate this weekend. She said that wasn't good enough. That I'd proven I didn't value her, and the only way to fix it was a grand gesture. I said no. She got up and walked to my office. What happened next is something I still can't fully believe even though I watched it happen. I have a custom gaming setup in my home office. Built it over 18 months. Started with a high-end PC I built myself. AMD Ryzen 9 processor, RTX 4090 graphics card, 64 GB RAM, custom water cooling loop, the works. Then added three 32-inch curved monitors. Herman Miller chair. Custom desk I designed and built. RGB lighting everywhere. Mechanical keyboard, high-end mouse, studio-quality headphones. The whole setup cost about $18,000 total. It was my pride and joy. I'd saved for years to build it exactly how I wanted. Jessica walked into my office and I followed her. She went straight to my closet and pulled out a hammer from my toolbox. I asked what she was doing. She said if I wouldn't buy her the car, then she'd make sure I understood how it felt to lose something valuable. Before I could react, she swung the hammer into my main monitor. The screen spiderwebbed immediately. I yelled for her to stop. She swung again. Hit the second monitor. Then the third. All three screens destroyed in about 10 seconds. I tried to grab the hammer, but she pulled away and started hitting the PC tower. Smashed the tempered glass side panel. Hit it again and again. I could hear components breaking inside. The water cooling loop started leaking. She hit my keyboard. Smashed my mouse. Knocked over my headphones and stomped on them. Went back to the PC and kept hitting it until the entire case was dented and parts were falling out. The whole thing took maybe 90 seconds. When she was done, my entire setup was completely destroyed. Monitors cracked, PC in pieces, peripherals smashed, water everywhere from the broken cooling system. I just stood there in shock. She dropped the hammer and said, "Now you know how I feel when you forget about me." Then she walked out. I heard the bedroom door slam. I stood in my destroyed office for probably 10 minutes just staring at everything. 18 months of work. $18,000. Gone. Because I forgot her birthday. I pulled out my phone and started taking pictures of everything. Every angle. All the damage. Then I called the police. The operator asked if anyone was hurt. I said no, but my girlfriend just destroyed $18,000 worth of my property with a hammer. She said officers were on the way. Jessica came out when she heard me on the phone. Asked who I was calling. I said the police. She laughed and said I wouldn't actually call the cops on my own girlfriend. I showed her the phone. She heard the operator confirm the address. Her face changed. She started yelling that I was insane, and she only did it because I hurt her first by forgetting her birthday. That destroying my stuff was nothing compared to the emotional damage I caused her. The cops showed up 15 minutes later. 2 officers. I showed them my office and explained what happened. Showed them the photos I'd taken immediately after. They asked where Jessica was. I said in the bedroom. They knocked and she came out. One officer asked her if she'd destroyed the property in the office. She said yes, but only because I'd emotionally abused her by forgetting her birthday and neglecting her for weeks. The officer said regardless of relationship issues, destroying someone else's property is a crime. Jessica said we lived together, so it was community property. The officer asked if her name was on anything. The lease, the receipts for the equipment, anything. I showed them my lease with only my name. Showed them receipts and credit card statements proving I'd purchased everything. She wasn't on anything. The officer told Jessica she was being arrested for criminal mischief and destruction of property. She absolutely lost it when they pulled out handcuffs. Started screaming that I was ruining her life over a mistake. That she only did it because she loved me and wanted me to pay attention to her. That I was the real criminal for emotional abuse. The officers weren't buying it. They cuffed her and read her rights. She was crying and yelling the whole time, saying I'd regret this. That everyone would know what kind of person I was. That her family would destroy me. They took her to the station and I was left standing in my apartment looking at the destruction. I called my insurance company and started a claim. Called my best friend Marcus and explained everything. He came over immediately and helped me start cleaning up. We spent 3 hours collecting broken parts and mopping up water from the cooling system. The PC was completely unsalvageable. The monitors were total losses. Even the desk had damage from the hammer strikes. But what came after the arrest made the whole situation spiral into territory I never could have anticipated. Jessica made bail the next morning. Her sister paid it. $2,500. She came home around noon while I was working on my laptop at the kitchen table. Walked in like nothing had happened. I asked what she was doing here. She said she lived here. I said not anymore. I wanted her to pack her stuff and leave. She said she wasn't going anywhere. This was her home too. I reminded her that her name wasn't on the lease and she'd just been arrested for destroying my property. She said that was a misunderstanding and once I calmed down I'd drop the charges and we'd move past this. I told her I wasn't dropping anything. She'd destroyed $18,000 worth of my belongings in a rage because I forgot her birthday. That's not normal behavior. That's criminal behavior. She started crying and said she only did it because she loved me so much and it hurt so badly when I forgot about her. That if I really loved her, I'd understand why she did it. I said love doesn't justify destruction. She needed to pack her things and be gone by the end of the day or I'd call the police again. She said fine, but I'd be hearing from her lawyer. I said good because she'd be hearing from mine about restitution for the damages. She went to the bedroom and started throwing things in suitcases. Took about 2 hours. The whole time she was muttering about how I'd regret this and how everyone would know I was abusive. She finally left around 3 p.m. with 3 suitcases and a bunch of bags. Slammed the door on her way out. I immediately changed the locks. Called a locksmith who came within an hour. Then I started documenting everything more thoroughly. Made a spreadsheet of every item damaged with original purchase price and current replacement cost. Took more photos. Saved all our text messages, especially the ones from that morning where her friends were attacking me. The next day, I got a call from a number I didn't recognize. Answered it. Woman's voice said this is attorney Michelle Rodriguez representing Jessica Chin. I said okay. She said Jessica wanted to resolve this matter without further legal action. I asked what that meant. She said if I agreed to drop the criminal charges, Jessica would agree not to sue me for emotional distress and wouldn't pursue a restraining order against me for threatening behavior. I actually laughed. Told her that Jessica destroyed $18,000 of my property on camera. There was a police report. She was arrested, and now she was threatening to sue me. The attorney said Jessica claimed I'd been emotionally abusive for months and the property destruction was a response to ongoing abuse. I said that was completely false and I had evidence proving what actually happened. The attorney said she was just relaying her client's position. I told her I wasn't dropping the charges. Jessica committed a crime and would face consequences. If Jessica wanted to sue me, she was welcome to try, but it wouldn't end well for her. The attorney said I should think carefully about the optics of pressing charges against my girlfriend over a birthday dispute. I said the optics of destroying $18,000 worth of property with a hammer were pretty clear. Hung up. That afternoon, Jessica's sister called me. Started screaming immediately. Said I was a monster for having Jessica arrested. That she made one mistake because she was hurt. That I was destroying her life over nothing. I said destroying $18,000 of property isn't nothing. Her sister said it was just stuff and could be replaced, but Jessica's record would be permanent. I said she should have thought about that before committing a felony. Her sister said Jessica's job was in jeopardy because of the arrest. That her employer was considering firing her. I said that was unfortunate, but not my problem. Her sister called me every name she could think of and hung up. Then Jessica's mom called. Much calmer, but still trying to guilt me. Said Jessica had always struggled with emotional regulation. That she got overwhelmed easily. That what she did was wrong, but I was making it worse by pressing charges. I told her mom that I understood Jessica might have issues, but that didn't give her the right to destroy my property. That actions have consequences. Her mom said she'd pay for the damages if I dropped the charges. I asked how much she thought the damages were. She said maybe $2,000. I said try $18,000. She went quiet, then said there was no way a computer cost that much. I said it wasn't just a computer, it was a custom-built workstation and gaming setup with 3 monitors and high-end peripherals. She said she couldn't afford that. I said then Jessica shouldn't have destroyed it. Her mom started crying and said I was being cruel. That Jessica was struggling and needed support, not prosecution. I said I'd supported Jessica for 2 years, and she responded by destroying my most valuable possession. We were done. Her mom hung up. Over the next week, the harassment from Jessica's family and friends was relentless, and their tactics got increasingly desperate. I got hundreds of messages on social media. Jessica's friends calling me abusive, posting vague things about how some men use the legal system to control women. Jessica herself posted a long story on Instagram about emotional abuse and narcissistic partners. Didn't name me, but it was obvious. Talked about how she'd been with someone who neglected her emotionally, and when she finally reacted, he had her arrested. Her comments were full of support. People saying she deserved better. Asking if she was okay. I didn't respond publicly. Didn't engage at all. Just screenshot everything and sent it to my lawyer. He said it could be useful if she tried to claim I was the aggressor. Meanwhile, my insurance claim was processing. The adjuster came out and looked at everything. Took photos, reviewed my receipts, assessed the damage. Said it was clearly intentional destruction. Asked if I'd filed a police report. I said yes and provided the case number. He said that would help the claim. A week later, I got the insurance payout. $16,400 after deductible. Not the full $18,000, but close enough. I immediately started ordering replacement parts. New monitors, new PC components, new peripherals. Decided to upgrade a few things since I was rebuilding anyway. Got an even better graphics card. Faster storage. Better cooling system. If I was starting over, I might as well do it right. Jessica's court date got scheduled for 6 weeks out. Preliminary hearing. My lawyer said I'd need to testify. Provide evidence. They'd probably offer a plea deal. I said I wanted her to face the full consequences. He said that was my right, but to be prepared for pushback. I said I was ready. 2 weeks before the court date, Jessica showed up at my apartment, buzzed from downstairs. I didn't let her up. She called my phone. I answered. She said she just wanted to talk face to face. I said we had nothing to talk about. She said she'd been in therapy and realized she had anger issues, that she was working on them, that she wanted to apologize properly and see if we could work things out. I said work things out. She destroyed my entire setup with a hammer. She said she knew and she was so sorry and she'd do anything to make it right. I asked if anything included paying $18,000. She went quiet, then said she didn't have that kind of money. I said then there was nothing to work out. She started crying and said she'd lost her job because of the arrest, that she was staying with her sister, that her life was falling apart. I said that was the consequence of her actions. She said I was heartless, that she loved me and made one mistake. I said one mistake that cost me $18,000 and could have been avoided by simply not destroying my property. She hung up. The night before the court date, I got an email from Jessica's lawyer. Said Jessica was willing to plead guilty to a misdemeanor if I agreed to a reduced restitution amount, $5,000 instead of $18,000. In exchange, she'd get probation instead of potential jail time. My lawyer said it was a reasonable offer, that getting $5,000 was better than getting nothing if she declared bankruptcy. I thought about it for a day, decided to accept. Not because I felt bad for Jessica, but because dragging it out wasn't worth my time. I wanted it over. Wanted her out of my life permanently. My lawyer contacted her lawyer and worked out the details. Jessica would plead guilty to criminal mischief, get 18 months probation, pay $5,000 restitution in monthly installments, stay away from me permanently, no contact order in place. The hearing was quick, and everything that happened there confirmed I'd made the right decision ending things. Jessica showed up with her lawyer and her mom. I was there with my lawyer. The judge reviewed the plea agreement, asked Jessica if she understood what she was pleading guilty to. She said yes. The judge asked if she understood the terms. She said yes. The judge asked if anyone wanted to make a statement. My lawyer stood up and read a brief statement about the impact of the destruction, how it affected my work since I needed the setup for my job, how it cost me financially and emotionally. Then Jessica's lawyer stood up and made a statement about how Jessica was remorseful and in therapy, and this was out of character, that she'd struggled with the relationship ending and reacted poorly. The judge listened to both sides, then looked at Jessica and said what you did was serious. Destroying someone's property because you're upset is criminal behavior regardless of the relationship context. You're getting a chance here with probation, but if you violate any terms, you'll face jail time. Do you understand? Jessica said, yes, Your Honor. The judge signed the order. Probation for 18 months. $5,000 restitution at $278 per month. No contact order permanent. Jessica and I were not to communicate or be in the same location. If we ran into each other accidentally, one of us had to leave. Jessica left the courtroom with her mom without looking at me. I left with my lawyer feeling relieved it was over. The first restitution payment came 2 weeks later. $278 deposited into my account. I got a payment every month after that like clockwork. Jessica clearly didn't want to violate probation. I never saw her again. Blocked her on everything. Blocked her friends and family. Moved on completely. Rebuilt my setup even better than before. Got back to my normal life. About 6 months after the court date, I got a message request on Instagram from someone I didn't know. Woman named Sarah. Said she'd been dating Jessica for a few months and Jessica had told her about me. Said Jessica claimed I'd been abusive and controlling and had her arrested for standing up to me. Sarah said she'd started noticing red flags in Jessica's behavior and wanted to know the truth. I normally wouldn't respond, but something made me check Sarah's profile. She looked genuine. Had a normal life, normal posts. Didn't seem like a troll. I sent her a message back. Said I'd be happy to tell her the truth and she could decide what to believe. Told her the whole story. How I forgot Jessica's birthday. How she demanded a $35,000 car. How she destroyed my setup when I said no. Sent her photos of the damage. Screenshot of the police report. Copy of the court documents. Sarah thanked me and said that explained a lot. That Jessica had been getting increasingly demanding and volatile. That she'd ask for expensive gifts and get angry when Sarah said no. That she'd recently thrown Sarah's phone against a wall during an argument. Sarah said she was ending things immediately. I told her to be safe and document everything. She said she would. A week later, Sarah messaged me again saying she'd broken up with Jessica and Jessica had tried to destroy her laptop, but Sarah had stopped her and called the police. Jessica got arrested again for violating probation. The laptop incident was enough to revoke her probation, and she got sentenced to 6 months in jail. I only know this because Sarah told me. I didn't follow up or care beyond being glad Jessica was facing real consequences finally. That was 8 months ago. Jessica's out now, I assume. I don't know and don't care. Haven't heard from her or about her. The restitution payment stopped when she went to jail, but honestly, I don't care about the remaining $2,000. I'm doing great now, and everything worked out better than I could have imagined despite the disaster. My setup is better than ever. I upgraded everything when I rebuilt. Got a 4K 144Hz main monitor. 2 additional 1440p monitors. Built a new PC with the latest gen components. Custom hardline water cooling that looks incredible. New desk, new chair, better lighting. The whole thing cost about $22,000 this time, but it's absolutely perfect. My dream setup fully realized. Work is good. The product launched successfully. I got a promotion and a raise. Working from home in my perfect office setup. Dating again. Met someone named Lauren through friends. She's a graphic designer. Normal, stable, doesn't destroy property when she's upset. We've been seeing each other for 4 months. Told her the whole story early on. She was horrified and supportive. Said anyone who destroys your stuff isn't someone worth keeping around. My family and real friends were supportive throughout everything. My mom was horrified when I told her what happened. Said she never liked Jessica anyway. My dad said I did the right thing pressing charges. Marcus helped me rebuild the setup and called it a phoenix rising from the ashes. Dumb, but I appreciated it. Everyone who mattered had my back. I learned some valuable lessons from this nightmare. Don't ignore red flags in relationships. Jessica had always been a bit dramatic and demanding, but I'd overlooked it because the relationship was otherwise fine. Those small things were signs of bigger issues. Don't let anyone guilt you into accepting abuse. Jessica's family tried hard to make me feel bad for pressing charges, but what she did was criminal, and she deserved consequences. Document everything always. The photos I took immediately after the destruction were crucial for insurance and court. Without them, it would have been much harder to prove the extent of damages. And finally, protect yourself legally. I could have let it go, could have just kicked her out and moved on, but pressing charges ensured there were real consequences and protected me from future issues. Sometimes people ask if I feel bad about how things turned out for Jessica. Lost her job, arrested twice, jail time, probation, criminal record. Honest answer is no. I don't feel bad at all. She made choices. She chose to destroy my property instead of using her words. She chose to demand a car instead of accepting an apology. She chose violence and destruction. Those were her choices, and she faced appropriate consequences. I'm 27 years old sitting in my home office with a setup that's worth $22,000 and makes me happy every time I look at it. I've got a good job, good friends, a great girlfriend who respects boundaries and property. Jessica's somewhere dealing with the consequences of her actions. I'm not involved and I'm not interested. That chapter is closed and I'm building better things. To anyone dealing with someone who destroys your property or threatens to, document everything, call the police, press charges. Don't let anyone guilt you into accepting abuse. Protect yourself first always. Property destruction is violence. It's abuse. It's criminal. Treat it that way. I did, and I have zero regrets. That's my story. Girlfriend destroyed my gaming setup over a forgotten birthday. Got arrested. I pressed charges. She faced consequences. I rebuilt better than before. Moving on with my life. Sometimes the trash takes itself out and you just have to let it go. Best decision I ever made was not backing down and demanding accountability. Would do it again in a heartbeat.